So, first of all, let me just take the opportunity to welcome all of you to this behind the scenes part three. We're going to be doing a really special interview with featuring Reggie Carter III. And I'm just so happy to have him. Before we get started, let me reintroduce you to our team, at least um, two of our five-member team. It's now expanded to five. So Deborah Brewer is our graphic designer, mixed media specialist. Beautiful background where you see TransAtlantic Journey, the name of our project. Um, and we have Thomas McCree, who is our mixing and mastering engineer. He has brought to life tracks that I thought had life till I heard what he did with them. Now they really, so I'm really excited about that. But I want to take this opportunity to introduce Reggie Carter. Now, what characterizes Reggie for me is two words. Who's that? Who's that? Those two words characterize Reggie. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I was minding my own business one day, and I heard this music playing, and my brother was actually playing it, and I said, hold on, who's that? He said, man, that's Reggie Carter. I said, get out of here. So I listened to it, and I was just floored. And so Reggie played on a track called Intrasonic. It's on the Anomaly album, 2020 recording by Mamaniji Azania. And it just blew me away. So I didn't know that at some point future I'd be calling Reggie to ask him to work on this project. But that's exactly what happened because I remembered the feeling that I got from what Reggie was doing. So Reggie, I want you also to know that everybody who I have played these tracks for, and it's been a very limited few people, I mean, people who are making their living doing this, they ask the very same question, who's that? So that's why I'm using those two words to introduce you. And we'll see more as you listen to tracks that you haven't heard yet, why we've taken this approach. But why don't you take just a couple of minutes and share with our audience, in your own words, who you are and what you're doing?
Okay. Well, first of all, let me say, man, it's been a definite honor knowing you and being able to work with you. I've enjoyed every second of it, and I consider it a real pleasure and honor to even just be on this project. So first, let me just tell you thank you, first of all. But as Jerome was saying, my name is Reggie Carter, and I am a musician that lives in Austin, Texas, by way of Atlanta, Georgia. I've only been in Austin for about 7 years, but I lived in Atlanta for 40 years, so I kind of grew up there somewhat. So, yeah, I'm a keyboard player and producer and arranger, and now actually band leader. Something else I'm kind of taking on. I've kind of been a little, how should I say, what they call an ambivert. It's like right in the middle. So you have to kind of have the introvert, the extrovert, something like right there. So that's kind of me. So, but I'm kind of stepping into that little role, a little bit more. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty much very interested in both jazz and gospel. My heart is anything, definitely jazz, gospel, and classical related. I mean, anything that's in that genre always gets my ear. I love stuff like lo-fi, four to the floor, neo soul, just the whole gamut of anything that has a pulse and is consistent. I think when it comes to music, my greatest rhythmic role model is my heart because it's just consistent. It doesn't stop, and it's always going to be right there on the beat, provided you do everything right. Right there on the beat, eat the right things and stuff. So, but yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. The other side of who I am is I moved up here about to work with my cousin, and he has an incredible personal development company by the name of Growth Youth. So I also serve as a coach, if you would, under his company, just really helping or making a difference or making a difference in people's lives. I found out that music has always been beautiful, but it's always been the calling card. It's always been the business card, but I've never actually worked on the purpose. So it's really just there to get people's attention. And then when you get their attention, how do you change their life? And that's really what I'm more focused on now as far as this. So it's kind of a dual thing for me. Still love music, but I'm also loving the process of life changing as well. So that's pretty much the size of it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Reggie.
Yeah.
And when you talk about the life-changing piece, people don't realize life changes can happen in moments. It doesn't have to be anything that's prolonged, and you don't even have to remember. It can often be just an experience, and that's what music brings to the listener. So you played on 4 tracks on this project. You played on Anchored, you played on Ota Benga, you played on Thankful, and you played on The Arc of Renewal. Now, when I sent you the tracks for Ota Benga is in 9/4, and it's really kind of challenging. And when I got it back and I played the intro, the first 4 chords put me on the floor. I'm not lying. The first 4 chords, I had to stop the track and listen again. When you talk about life changing, I want Thomas, I think, has that cue. I want you to hear, and I want our audience to hear. There's a certain sensitivity that we have as musicians, and we share the same sort of passion for the genres that you listed. So when I heard these 4 chords just after the intro, I had to stop because I was floored. So Thomas, if you got that queued up, let's hear it.
There you go.
Those 4 chords right there, because they conveyed a sort of a sensibility to what I was orchestrating, and you resonated with that, you captured it, and it just floored me because I when somebody else is interpreting your music, you never know what's going to come back, but for it to be resonating in that way, it just blew me away. So Thomas, if you will start that again, I'm gonna let it play out a little bit so that you can hear. But I just those 4 chords killed me, Reggie.
Here you go.
But so tell me something, Reggie, because I'm really interested in your process. So
Yeah.
like with that piece, when you received it, what is your process like?
You know what? The process is normally to actually sit with the track for a while and to let it wash over you. And I think, to be honest, there's some music that touches you in a certain way, and you're able to express that. There are others that sometimes it's a work for hire per se, and you're just really trying to get the job done. I think that your heart and your energy that went into this song really touched me personally, and so this was definitely something that that I felt came from a heart space, because it came from your heart space, and and it's funny how your album is a transatlantic journey. You know what I mean? It also serves as just a transfer of energy. It's just, Atlantic can be anything. Can be whatever you want it to be. But I know that there's also a transfer. So, and I think that hearing that process, you have to let it transfer to you, and allow it to be re-expressed in a way that speaks to you. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. So it's just sitting with it for a while, and then one day said, today's the day we're gonna record.
Yeah. So man, I mean, again, your sensitivity to the composition just blew me away from start to finish. Now, there's another piece that Thomas has queued up. And I said, man, you're doing the mixing. You select the part that that really speaks to you, and let's listen to that. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring Immanuel in.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Hey,
All right.
hey, man.
That's your brother Reggie right there.
What's up, man?
What's up, Reggie?
How you doing?
So, Immanuel, we're winding up Reggie's interview. I wanted to let you in the room, and then we'll come to you. But as a matter of fact, it's probably appropriate that we play this clip because we're featuring both you and Reggie on this next clip. So, Thomas, go ahead and run this down, and we'll talk a little bit about it. So Thomas, go ahead and take it. Talk to us about what's going on for you.
So, I'm drummer first, but I play keys too. I'm learning. But man, when we got to that spot, I almost fell out of my chair, doc. I was just like, man, those passing chords. I was like, man, and it just melts me every time I hear it. It just drops me. Your placement of those chords, the way you place that in the perfect space where Keela is singing, the sax is going, and the piano's going, but that placement, it was perfect. I was right on that. I enjoyed it.
Man, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's such a beautiful song too.
Yeah. Reggie, so I was explaining the last time we had one of these that the chords the changes are very simple. I call them like comfort chords. They're like your macaroni and cheese and your candied yams and but what happens is when you do the arrangement is what carried it. And Thomas knew right away when he began mixing it that, okay, so the piano is carrying this piece. And so he began to, mix it in that way. But man, it was just the changes and the chord inflections, man, it was just sensational.
And when the candy yams float over to the greens, all of a sudden it's like
and then like man, he was feeling that. And so Immanuel, if you just want to share a little bit about your experience with that particular track. I know this is the first time you're hearing it.
Yeah, it's fat, man. That's
Yes,
my
sir.
first impression, man. It's fat. It's got a lot of stuff going on, man, but you can hear every nuance, and that's what I like about it. You can hear the vocals clearly. You can hear Reggie clearly. You can hear the sax clearly. You can hear everything clearly. You know, it reminds me of some stuff um, that I used to do with Solar. It has that kind of very spiritual, but very kind of laid back at the same time. It's just a likable piece, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really appreciate how you brought that energy too, because you remember when you were doing it originally and we were talking about it, it's like yeah, you got to bring that energy, and man, it's like you brought it, man.
Well, you were the impetus for it. You told me how you wanted it, and I just tried to convey it the best way I knew how.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had a lot, a lot. I mean, the foundation was already laid.
Yeah.
So I just was floating on like on the carpet, man.
Yeah. Well, we certainly appreciate that. Now, Emmanuel, why don't you just take a moment and introduce yourself? You and I go way, way, way back musically. I think if I remember correctly, we go back to about 1982, maybe around 1982. We did the New Orleans Jazz Festival together. A shout
Yeah.
out to Deborah from New Orleans. We did the New Orleans Jazz Festival back in the day. So tell us who you are, what you do, and what you're doing.
Well, my name is Immanuel Zachariah. I'm originally from Philadelphia. Um, I've been playing all my life. If I couldn't play music, I don't know what else I would do. You know, I try to make this brief. I was playing in Philadelphia, playing in all of the bars and stuff. And this lady, she was very inebriated, came up to me, I guess she was trying to flirt, and she had a drink in her hand, she spilled it on my horn. So at that point, I said, well, Lord, because I always considered myself to be a very spiritual person. I said, Lord, I need to go somewhere where I can concentrate on you and I can perfect my music the way I want it to be. Because I never believed that our music is supposed to be played in bars. You know, there was a point where we had to play in bars because that was the only exposure that we had. But now, I try to play in libraries and in churches and different things, like try to elevate it. But anyway, that's how I got to Atlanta, and I met up with Mama Niji, and that's Jerome's brother. And they were in need of a saxophonist at the time because their saxophonist had left because he had other commitments that he wanted to fulfill. And so I was able to record an album, uh, Faith on My Mind, and met some very good people. And Jerome was one of them. He was coming in playing drums, and we was able to do the Jazz and Heritage Festival. And then from there, um, after that group broke up, me and the bass player, Mama Niji, we formed a group called Lasagna. And we did that for a while. And so I'm here now.
About the Emmanuel experience, because you and I talked about that.
Yeah. So after the um, the group broke up, Lasagna eventually broke up too. I formed this group called the Immanuel Experience Ensemble. The Immanuel Experience Ensemble, basically, the whole purport of it is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ through the music. And that's basically what we do. I solicit my man Reggie a lot. You will find him on most of my original compositions. And we've had an opportunity to play a couple of gigs together too, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool. So, one of the things, as you all know, when you compose, you think in terms of those musicians who are going to bring the right energy and the right spirit to your music. And there is this element of trust, because we can't say with any kind of certainty, but we're trusting, And I'm so appreciative how both of you have contributed to this project. Um, you know, um, and as Emmanuel and I talked about just a few days ago, we realize now that the music alone is not enough. When we're dealing with the Gen X and Gen Zers, we need to provide an experience for them. It used to be that you could just have the music or just put out a digital track, but people are looking more to be engaged by an experience, and that's what Transatlantic Journey is. And Deborah, I don't mean to impose on you, but could you just tell us some of the cool things that are coming with our AR code and our website?
Okay, so we have been working on the website. Um, and it's just been a transformation, just, putting up the website, putting the musicians' bios up. Um, I think this transatlantic journey is just incredible because you just have it's like a melting pot of all different types of um, musicians and artists being put into one project. It's very rich, and we're just pulling out just the different elements. We're working on merchandise. So we're working on a augmented reality code that we will be building an experience so that will add to the transatlantic journey experience. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that, Deborah. We do have two of our team members missing. Ron Pollard is our photographer, and he's hard at work right now. So shout out to Ron. And then we have Judy Duran, who's our publicist. She's unbelievable. And part of what we had in mind when we put this process together was around the idea that the record companies have formed a monopoly, that it makes marketing hard. You don't get anything for your product when you put it out. But I believe that if we take a grassroots approach and we use a multiplier effect by integrating each other's networks, we won't need to go through them. We'll be able to benefit from each other's gifts and talents and abilities and share our music through our network. So, people won't have to go hunting for this and for that and for the other. It'd be like a one-stop shop. So that's kind of the vision behind what we are doing. And then the other part of it is that the public doesn't often know what goes into putting these projects together. So having the behind the scenes really helps to educate them and gives us, a better listener. And, some of our music is such that we want better listeners, and we want to be able to create without any apprehension, and the more we share with the listeners and help in the process of education, I think the easier that becomes. So just before we sign off, Reggie, I'd like to give you an opportunity to let people know how you can be contacted, and then Emmanuel will come to you.
Okay, very simply, I on Instagram, you can find me at AW the number 8 KE 111, which basically is awake 111. 111 is my favorite number. So so AW8 KE 111. Facebook is just Reginald Q Carter II. And if you wanted to catch my email, it's thekingreginald@gmail.com would be my contact. Yeah,
Right.
so
Reggie, just man, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Your music speaks of who you are, man. I mean, I couldn't have asked anybody better to play on this project. So, man, just love and gratitude to you, man.
I appreciate the opportunity. I really do. Emmanuel, appreciate you, brother, because I
Oh
know,
yeah,
for connecting us, and always, so everybody on this, I appreciate all of it. I'm actually hearing and seeing the talents. I know the mix is incredible. I can hear it like over the headphones. It's like, oh my God, what is going on? That is incredible. So thank you for helping me to sound a little better. So thank you so much, man. But
Yeah,
thank you, everybody.
sure. Immanuel?
Yeah, first of all, I wanted to say how much I am indebted to you for including me on this project. You definitely stretched me, my brother. When you hear the rest of the songs, you understand what I'm talking about. But this is revolutionary right here, what you're doing. And you have created a model for musicians to go into the next phase of their marketing promotions and things. I can't say enough about what you've done, man. It's just amazing. And I think that all musicians should take this and run with it because this is the future. But you can reach me at facebook.com /iman14UEL. You can also reach me at www.theimmanuelexperienceensemble.com. And my email address is www.iman14uel@hotmail.com.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that. So just so that you all can see what we're up to, you can go to transatlanticjourney.com and you will see some of the stuff that we are doing. Once we get the CDs pressed, because we're doing digital and we're doing CDs, 6-panel CDs, I will be sending you a copy of the CD. So please make sure and text me your mailing address so that we can make sure when you see the graphics in that CD panel, I told Deborah and Ron, who are really responsible for this, I told them that me and Thomas are going to have to catch up to y'all because the graphics are just so off the charts.
No,
We're hoping that we can pull the music part together to live.
no, the music is fire. The
So,
music is lit.
If it's anything like that cover, it's gonna be off the chain. That cover is something else.
yeah, they did a great
Oh, for the blessing. And I love your photo behind you.
Oh, thank you.
That's a great photograph of you.
Thank you.
So check out transatlanticjourney.com. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, Manuel, for your gifts, for your talents, and we'll be calling on you again sometime in the future. I wish you all of the best with your projects and your endeavors and your families. Happy holidays to you both. Thank you for joining
All
me.
right.
Thank you, man.
Bless.
God bless.
All
God
right,
bless.
all right, so we're back, and I'd like to, with great pleasure, introduce to you the one and only Salim Washington, somebody I've known for more than most of my life, it seems like. We got an early start, met in Boston. He was a student at Harvard. And we've been brothers ever since that day. Very fortunate to have him. He played on 2 of the tracks on the album Transatlantic Journey. One track is entitled Some Other World, and the other is entitled The Ark of Renewal. The Ark of Renewal was composed with him in mind because shortly after we left Solar, which Immanuel was also a part of, we went back to school. And it's crazy, but Salim went and did a doctoral program, and I went and did a doctoral program. And so we kind of came full circle, which is why that track is called The Ark of Renewal. And it's very, very personal in that respect. And even though we haven't gone to mixing it yet, else we would play a part of it. When you hear it, you'll hear that whole journey part of it. So Salim, we're very pleased to have you. Could you just tell folks a little bit about what you do and what you are doing?
Okay. What I do is I'm a scholar a teacher and a performer of jazz music and jazz culture. I try to look at the music uh, as music, but also as a cultural phenomenon, as a set of practices that I've devoted my adult life to. I'm a professor of global jazz studies at UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles. Um, and I'm a band leader and a composer. Uh, and I write about Black culture and about jazz, but about Black culture more generally as well.
Yeah, appreciate that. Now, how long did you spend in South Africa, man?
I lived there for 10 years.
Wow.
I went there a few years before, fell in love with the country, and I took a position there. And I was there for 10 years. I even ended up getting married and having a son there. Uh, so
Yeah,
now here with me in Los Angeles. Yeah.
yeah. Cool. So we do feature you on two of the tracks on this album. We'd like to play a few measures from one of them. You haven't heard this as yet, so
No.
it's be nice to see your reaction when
Okay.
neither Immanuel nor Reggie have heard it, but
Okay.
it's so let me explain. So you all know that part of what I do, I think you all know, is that I'm a theologian.
Right.
Track is called Some Other World. And the it's under the rubric of the transatlantic journey. But when the Africans were brought here against their will, they came to a world they knew nothing about. It was some other world. And so incorporated into this track is that sensibility. And when you listen to it, you're going to hear influences that reflect us in a sort of contemporary sense, but it still captures that notion of being somewhere that's other than what you are accustomed to. So, Thomas, if you got that queued up, bless us with that. So we're gonna give you that little bit of a tease, but Salim, talk about that experience for you, man.
Yeah. It's beautiful because it relies it calls my youth, uh, where as jazz musicians, we are really concerned with swing, uh, and swing is one of the things that distinguishes our music from other music. But then there's more than one kind of swing, and one type of swing has the name funk. So it's really nice to hear the way that you put this together, because sometimes when we come to the funk, we forget that we're supposed to be swinging, and we're trying to apply formulas or some type of cliche. Whereas in this case, the swing is there. So the funk is really authentic, and it makes your body move. It is a somatic experience. So it was really nice to hear this. It was like a breath of fresh air in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I really appreciated your interpretation of it. And what came to mind was that I actually knew you before you started playing the saxophone.
That's actually true, isn't it?
And we lived through the era of all the great horn bands, Earth, Wind and Fire, Tower,
Right,
Power,
right.
you know,
Cool in the Gang.
exactly.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so to be able to recall that and to try to put it into that expression of our history and our experience was really important to me, because there are people who would try to divorce us from that element of our spirituality. But like you said, Salim, our music is about a somatic experience. You can't live without the rhythm of the heartbeat. So
Right.
when you reduce it to its irreducible minimum, that's what you get. You get that, and the expression is the soul, which people don't
Right.
understand. It's the
Right.
soul.
Right.
You
Right.
captured that in that
Right.
solo, man, and
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of
really
fun.
fun, Thomas. So you're mixing this, and I just want you to give us your perspective on, on the instrumentation and the way things are woven together.
Um, Man, just the mixing process has been really, really a great journey because I get to hear firsthand of everybody's interpretation of the song, and just me soloing it each part, going through and just like, wow. Sometimes I just get stuck just listening to the solo part because it's just some of the runs, and that's why I was telling Reggie earlier. I was just like, man, just some of those things. I'm just in here like, wow. But it's amazing, to be on this side of it, to mix it, with great recordings, great musicians, and this project is just going to be really awesome just to for the music culture, period, man. Sometimes you don't really hear real music anymore like this, and this is like real music. And I'm just so happy to be a part of it. So yeah, Salim, thank you, man. Your solo is awesome. Everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Salim, you also played on the Ark of Renewal, and we talked about what that was. I mean, what did that bring up for you? Because that experience we had, I'll never forget. We were sitting together and we looked at each other, and it was like, yeah, it's time to get out of here. What does that bring up for you, man?
Hey, man, it's a lot, really. Many layers of experiences are encapsulated in this because at the most basic level, we were in a situation as young men trying to gain experience, trying to explore who we were as musicians and as men. And we were deeply involved in biblical study and health practices and everything. But sometimes circumstances find you in a compromised situation where, there, treacherous may be too strong a word, maybe it's not too strong a word, where you are trying to avoid treacherous missteps. Uh, and so it was really good that we had each other at that time to kind of like bounce back, like, am I still sane? Is this what I think it is? How can we move forward? How do we take what's good from this and propel us to something that perhaps is even better? All of those thoughts and all of those feelings of being a young man at an inflection point in my spiritual and maturing journey. All of that comes to mind as I listen to it.
Yeah, it was quite an experience, and that's why, again, the transatlantic journey and the arc of renewal. One of the things I want to say publicly is that I credit Salim with teaching me how to be a scholar. And the way it happened was, um, we had so many interactions, and after a while, I began to catch that his brilliance was that he's a very humble learner. I mean, there are people who will tell you that this is a really brilliant guy, but what I caught was the humility that he has in learning, And I drew from that, and that helped me. I mean, that has helped me ever since. So I just want to thank you for that, man. That
Oh, my brother.
yeah, no, for real. I became like a sponge after that, you know. So that has really helped me a lot.
Yeah,
And just to see the way you have grown musically, because when I first met you, you were playing flute. You had just started playing flute.
right.
You had just started getting into jazz. You were listening to Eric Dolphy. You were listening to Charlie Parker. You were listening to Rain. You were
Right,
listening to Rasan.
right.
You were listening to Pharaoh. Did I name them all?
Yeah, you did. Those. Yeah, Mingus is the only one that's missing.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, so it's just great to see how that has matured. Now we've got to wrap up, but tell folk how they can reach you, how they can get in contact with you.
Okay, well, I have a website, www.salimwashington.com. And there's a lot of information and recordings and things there. I'm a part of this organization called Freedom First. We are trying to bring publicity and funds to exonerate Keith Lamar, who has erroneously been put on death row. Uh, Also, I have a big concert coming up with Nathaniel Mackey, the great poet at UCLA. And also, I'm also an associate of the John Coltrane Church in San Francisco. So those are different ways you can catch me, but you can always get me at SalimWashington.com.
All right, thank you so much. And he invited me to come and play for the John Coltrane birthday celebration, and I'm greatly appreciative for that also. So, to our listeners, you will hear the craftsmanship of these great musicians on the CD entitled Transatlantic Journey. We're a few weeks away from its release, but you can go to transatlanticjourney.com and you can have that interactive experience. The site is in development, but there's enough up already to keep you engaged. So thank you again, Reggie Carter. Thank you. Emmanuel Zachariah. Thank you. Salim Washington. Thank you. And special thanks and shout out to my team. And we look forward to meeting with you in the next installment where we will be interviewing Shaquilla Hudson, who sings the lead on a number of the tracks in this project.